Alright, so here we're going to have a quick review of the ThieAudio Hype 10. This is a 2 dynamic driver 10BA set, hence the Hype 10. Retails for around $900, and yeah, let's get into this. Let's open up the box here. This is the flagship of the ThieAudio Hype series. As I said with the Oracle Mark III review, this box is huge, in my opinion, for an IEM. Let's take the IEMs out here. My bad attempt at coiling it back up into the box. Come on, there. Take the case out, all the accessories, and let's put the box to the side. Alright, so the case, as I said again in the Oracle Mark III review, this case is way too big for one IEM. I don't know why they did this. There's also no inlay in the case, so the IEMs would just bounce around in the case. So there's no really, this is not a very useful case. Anyways, take out the microfiber cloth it comes with. It comes with foam tips, which I do not use foams, but it is nice that they include these. It comes with some silicone tips. I put them out to the side for the small ones, because we'll be talking about that in a second. And these just all fell out of the bag, but this is the terminations for the modular cable. Come on, there we go. It does come with 3.5, 2.5 balance, and 4.4 balanced. Alright, let's put all that to the side here, and let's quickly talk about the cable. Gonna unplug this real quick. Now the cable may look like it is not a supple cable because I tried to stuff it back in the box, but trust me, this cable is a very nice cable. I said it's the exact same cable, I believe, as the one that comes with the Oracle Mark III, but that's perfectly fine because the Oracle Mark III comes with a fantastic cable. It's a very supple, very smooth cable. Just I gotta straighten it like this a little bit because again I just jammed it into the box. It is, as I said, modular, and the modular system used here is very nice. Let me just get one of the connectors here. It's very simple, just like most modular cables. It's hard to do this on camera here, but there's a little notch there. You put the notch with the gap that is there, and boom. And the connector is very small compared to, for example, what's another, do I have another one that's not, yeah, this cable is not, this is a one that's not modular and is very small, to be fair. But yeah, this is a very good length for a modular, modular termination. Usually modular terminations are much bigger, so I really like the modular system here. Alright, let's put the cable off to the side here and let's talk about the comfort. Now, these are not the most comfortable IEMs. Honestly, I could maybe keep these in my ear for around 1 hour. I have very small ears, so like that may be just a me thing, but overall, this is trying to fit 10 BAs and 2 dynamic drivers in here. And 2 dynamic drivers that are in isobaric formation, so they're facing each other, which is making it a lot thicker. So it's not just, you know, like wide and tall, it's also quite thick. I'm going to bring in some other IEMs in a bit and show you the size later, but some examples, like, because I tried to give these to my mom to let her try out, and they actually just would not go in her ear at all. Her ears are even smaller than mine, though my ears are also quite small. It wouldn't even go in her ears at all. She could not use the set. So if you have very small ears, I'd recommend not using these unless you've tried them somewhere and then seeing if it fit you there. But otherwise, no. Now, about looks, comfort, build, metal nozzle, which I like. It has a recessed connector a little bit, not like heavily recessed, just like a little bit, which is nice. It is 2-pin. Overall build quality normal. Also have the, I think this is the bass vent or the pressure relief, I'm not sure, but yeah, build quality standard. Looks, I love the looks on these. So I think that this is one of the best IEMs in terms of looks I've ever seen. I know I say that a lot, but this really is a very unique and really one of the best looking IEMs I've ever seen. It is a little bit polarizing because I know I showed this to one of my friends. This is one of the ugliest IEMs he's ever seen. But I think it's really cool looking. You know, you got this like kind of sun looking thing, like with these like with the line that goes through to like this like kind of bluish sparkly in the black area, and then it's got like this red part that also has this kind of sparkles into it. I really like how this looks. I think it's really unique and I think it looks really nice. But I mean, that's all subjective. So some people think it's not good looking. I think it looked great. Alright, now why do I have the tips here? The tips here are because I was really, when I did listening testing, I tried a lot of different tips on here, and really I could only use these tips. Now why? It's because these were the only ones that they sound good on. I tried CP100 spin fits, I tried W1 spin fits, I tried W01 BGVP tips, I tried spiral dots, I tried elliptic baroque tips. Really, none of them sounded as good as the stock tips. I really think that with this set, it needs its stock tips. Now, are the stock tips bad? No. These actually are really good in quality, in my opinion. I think the silicone feels good. I think it's a good set of tips. The reason I'm saying, I'm mentioning this is that these are not, like, I usually use even smaller ear tips, and because I like a deep fit. And some people really do enjoy having a deeper fit in their IEMs, and I don't think these are really for those people. Because actually notice that the deeper I fit these IEMs into my ears, the worse they sounded. Luckily, these tips, despite being larger than most small tips that I use, these are the small size that they come with, it was not a deep fit, which actually made it sound better. I think really these are not really the best IEMs for like deep insertion for in terms of like sound quality. So I found that like a little bit shallower fit, but of course a good seal made these sound the best. Anyway, that's enough about comfort and looks and all that. Let's talk about what you care about. You care about the sound. Right away, I want to bring in some of my favorites because I think these are really good sounding actually. I'm going to bring in the Rhyme SR8, which has 14 drivers. So these are 12 drivers, these 14 drivers. 2 dynamics though, that's crazy. What was the name of this again? The Supernova. And an IEM that I'm not sure if I have it reviewed yet on the channel because I did not record the review for this yet, but I'm not sure what order I'm posting these in. But the Mega5EST Bass Plus. I'm just going to call these the Bass Plus for the review because that name is way too long. And I do know these have quite a large price difference, but these really do punch above their price bracket. And these two have some similarities with these, that's why I'm bringing in these two. The reason I brought also the Mega5EST Bass Plus, the Bass Plus, is these really punch above their weight class. Spoiler if I haven't posted the review. These sound really nice, and I got these both at the same time, so I had a lot of in-depth comparisons between the two, and I decided I'm only going to keep one, and I'm not going to say which one I kept yet. Actually, well, I'll say it. I decided to keep the Bass Plus, but that does not mean that these don't sound good. These actually sounded very good. And so we'll talk about, let's start bass mid highs here real quick. In terms of the bass, you have really good bass on these. These have great impact, just like in the Oracle Mark III has the same like impact system that they call it. And I think that is a perfect name, the impact system. Because, focus please, thank you. The bass has such a strong initial hit and physicality to it. It's really something I haven't heard on any other set other than the Oracle Mark III. All of these do not hit as hard in the initial slam than these do. The SR8 has great bass. Actually, competing. These are both competing for like which one I like more in the bass. They have different aspects of the bass I like more. Same with these, the Bass Plus. But these have by far the best initial slam, the best tactility to it in terms of the bass. It really just hits hard. Now, in terms of texture, my problem with the Oracle Mark III was that it lacks texture in the bass. It had that great hit, but lacked texture. These, on the other hand, I don't know what they changed. I don't know what's different in terms of their bass, and maybe they have a few of the BAs out of the 10 BAs that are working on bass as well, in terms of like, maybe the sub bass, the mid bass, and also the sub bass. The texture on these is very good. Not as good as the SR8, and I think the Bass Plus also edges these out a little bit in terms of texture, but it is still very good texture in the bass, especially with that initial slam. The bass on this is top notch. Honestly, just flagship tier bass, really solid. Now, a different thing about the bass though is usually when I hear IEMs with this quality of bass, I'm expecting a lot of it. And these have a small emphasis in the bass, but not like, it's not a bass headset in my opinion. Even it's not like really, it's not giving you the quantity a bass headset will get. It will be, the quality is satisfactory for any bass head. Like I think really the quality of this bass, it's really like, it's only matched. It's not surpassed as far as anything I've heard in terms of IEMs. I have not heard bass that I can say is just outright better than this. The SR8 competes in terms of texture and detail in the bass. I think the texture and detail of the bass in the SR8 is better than this, and it's a little bit more of a fun bass, a little bit more dynamic. It's a little bit more musical sounding bass on the SR8, while this one has a bit more of that like really impressive technical prowess, and in terms of just that initial slam is just crazy impressive, along with some great texture. Now, the Bass Plus, however, has a different presentation of the bass. I'll talk about it more in the review of the Bass Plus, but it has like a size to it. Now, this is on the Hype 10. It's not focused solely on the bass. From what I hear, it's very complementary to the rest of the tuning. While the Bass Plus, you feel the bass, and it's big. Again, I'll talk about that more in the review of the Bass Plus. But yeah, this is more, the bass is complementary to the track. Here you have more of a focus on like, this is like a big, massive impact with really great decay. Like this is big bass, while this is just very high quality bass that's complementary to the rest of the music. Now, moving on to the mid-range. Oh, and also, I mean, I don't think the Supernova really competes here with the bass on any of these three. The Supernova has good quality bass, especially the texture is good quality, but the initial impact is not as good on the Supernova as it is on these. These have all better initial impact. This is just, I think that the bass on the Hype 10 is just flat out better than the bass on the Supernova. Just is, I think. And actually, these have similar tunings, except like in terms of the amount of bass, in terms of the amount of mid-range, presentation of the vocals are both forward on these, and treble is also relatively similar. We'll talk about that. But in terms of bass quality, the Hype 10 surpasses the Supernova. Going on to the mid-range. The mid-range is very good. I really like it. It does have a forward vocal presentation. Male vocals being a little bit more backseat compared to the female vocals. I think there's a little bit of a scoop out in the lower mid-range. Not like a huge big deal. It's not like ruining the set. But if you like a lot of lower male vocals, this may not be the set for you in terms of that case. I didn't really notice it being much of an issue for the most part, but just some tracks I noticed it was a little bit just not as good as the female vocals are being presented here. Another thing is that I didn't notice the timbre being like #1 perfect. Now, it's not bad timbre. These don't have like a BA timbre problem. But this is not going to give you like single dynamic driver timbre, or actually really the SR8 has a better smoothness to it. It has better like coherency throughout the mid-range. And also the female vocals just sound higher quality on the SR8. I like instruments a little bit more on the SR8 as well. I think also the Bass Plus does a really good job in terms of vocal performance and the mid-range performance. And I think it's a little bit better quality than on the Hype 10. Hype 10 has it a little bit more up close, more forward than the Bass Plus, and also a little bit more forward than the SR8, but it's not as smooth sounding. You do have great detail on the Hype 10 as well. You have, I think, better detail than on the SR8, and I think better detail than on the Bass Plus. Maybe a little bit, yeah, I'd say it's better detail than the Bass Plus, but it's not by like a wide margin. In terms of for the Supernova, I think the Supernova has better mid-range than the Hype 10. I think that the Supernova, it manages to it's not as detailed maybe as the Hype 10, but it just manages to have a smoothness to it, a coherency to it that's like very single dynamic driver like in my opinion in the mid-range. Also the vocals just sound so beautiful on the Supernova that I think the Hype 10 can't compete in terms of vocals. Instruments also, I just think the Supernova just surpasses in terms of just like a smoothness, just like a effortlessness to it, and like just overall coherency throughout the mid-range. It's just better done. The tuning of the mid-range is a little bit better on here. It's similar, but I think that just the Supernova does it a little bit better. It's just a little bit more mature sounding, a little bit more. It's just something to it, you know. It's just like higher quality, smoother. It sounds smoother. This one has a little bit more graininess in the mid range than this. And also actually more grainy than the SR8. It's not like a grainy treble or a grainy mid range overall. It's not like this is like some kind of rough mid range, but it's just that these manage to be a little bit smoother in the mid range. These two, I'd say, the same like level of mid range performance. But this one pushes the mid range a little bit more forward. This is a little bit less. This is a little bit less V-shaped than the Bass Plus. Going on to the treble. The treble is a little bit where this is not as impressive compared to these. I think the treble on all of these surpasses the Hype 10. The Hype 10 is not bad at the treble, but it's a very BA treble. That's the best way I can explain it. Not in terms of like this has BA timbre, it's bad treble, but it's just not impressive. It's fine. It's a decent treble. It's not bad, but this has a very nice EST implementation in terms of the treble. So this just destroys the Hype 10 in terms of treble performance for me. The SR8 is more rolled off in the treble than these, but I think treble quality is better on the SR8. The Supernova is just a little bit more effortless in the treble. Again, also more rolled off than the Hype 10. Hype 10 has a little bit more extension, but the Hype 10 again, this doesn't have the quality that any of these have in terms of treble. It's still decent. I'd say though I expect more for $900 in terms of treble performance. Some of you may be thinking also like, what about the Monarch Mark II or Mark III? I haven't sadly never heard the Mark III, so I can't comment on that. But in terms of the Mark II, by my memory, I don't own the Mark II right now, but I have heard it. By memory, I'd say the Mark II is better technically, but I'd say I enjoy the Hype 10's tuning a bit more. The Hype 10 has an energy to it. It's fun. It's punchy. It's a little bit warmer. But the Monarch Mark II is a little bit flatter sounding. But I'd say the Mark II has better. Monarch Mark II has better mid-range performance, vocal performance, and treble performance in terms of technicalities and smoothness. But the bass performance is better on the Hype 10 by actually quite a wide margin, in my opinion. But I will say I actually enjoyed the Hype 10 more than the Mark II because I found the Mark II to be a little bit boring. If you look at my tier list in the description, you will see that the Monarch Mark II is still high on my tier list. I enjoyed the set, but I think that these are just a little bit more fun, a little bit more enjoyable than the Mark II. I think the Mark II is a little bit flat for me. And anyway, let's go away from this and go to now presentation, because this actually is a very important part of the set for me. I think the presentation is really unique on here, and it has a big impact on whether or not you would enjoy the set or not. This is a warmer sounding set in my book. It's similar to the Supernova, where it's a very like relaxed, like not relaxed. Relaxed is not the way I would describe it at all. That's the wrong term. Warm. It's just a warm sounding set, but it's a very punchy set compared to the Supernova. Supernova is a little bit more relaxing, while this is more like, it's not in your face, but it's energetic while being warm. And it's a little bit intense because, like the SR8 actually, this is the stage is very narrow for me. It's not in your head necessarily, but let's say your head is here, the stage goes out to like here. It's not like a very wide stage, which was disappointing for me. And it doesn't really do a very good job at being a very like in-your-face set like the SR8 does. The SR8 does like a very in-your-face sound in a very good way, where it's like kind of like the HD650, if you've heard headphones HD650, where like it's an intimate sound, intimate vocals, and it's an enjoyable smaller stage. This one, I kind of wish I had a wider stage, whereas like it started to become a little bit claustrophobic when it came to staging. Separation was still good, but it just a little bit just too much, like too cramped, too claustrophobic in terms of presentation. And I think that's mainly because, for me, in my opinion, I think warmer sets have more trouble with a narrow stage than brighter sets. I think the brighter set makes it sound a little bit more lively, a little bit more, like it sounds like a little bit more air in between, even with a smaller stage. While this one, because it's warm, there's less air in that small stage, makes it sound a little bit congested. Again, I enjoy this set a lot, and so I'm more nitpicking if anything, but yeah, it's just a little bit congestion again for the $900 price tag. This does sound a little bit congested for me. And so that was the main issue with these for me, and that's why I actually chose the Bass Plus over these. The Bass Plus has great air, despite Despite, you know, the technical prowess of the Hype 10 being better, there's more air on the Bass Plus. Also, the Bass Plus has great stage. We'll talk about that in the review. And the SR8, again, is just different. It's bright while this is warm, but I think this just doesn't have the congestion problem because it's warm and small stage on here, while this is bright with the small stage. This has a pretty decent, good stage, not like crazy, but I like the staging on the Supernova, and I think the Supernova is a better stage. Imaging wise on here is solid. Imaging is a solid on this set. No problems at all. But the thing is that, I mean, it's imaging within a very restrained look space, so I wouldn't recommend these for gaming personally. At least I wouldn't do it. I don't think these are really like, this is a very musical sounding set. Going from that, I also wanted to mention a very weird thing that I felt when listening to these, is that these kind of had like a sound that would make my poorly recorded music sound better recorded almost. It sounded like as if my poorly recorded music sounded better mastered, maybe because of the warmness to it. But I don't know. It sounded like a little bit like as if all of my really poorly recorded tracks, that like on these you would be like, man, this is sounding like not good because the recording is bad. It didn't sound like it was poorly recorded when I played it on the Hype 10. I really liked that. That was a very interesting phenomenon with the set. You don't hear that all the time. A lot of times, you know, especially with like higher end sets, especially with EST sets or like stuff with really nice treble, you start to hear the flaws in your recordings in the songs you listen to. And with these, you don't really hear the flaws as much. But another thing with these is that you also don't really get shocked when you hear something like really well recorded. It's almost as if this is like the great equalizer, that everything sounds the same amount of good recording. Where like it's all sounding like it's well recorded, but like not like, oh my god, incredible recording, but nothing sounds like terribly recorded on this. It's very interesting. That was a very interesting like aspect of this set that actually almost made me keep it, because a lot of like the songs I listen to that are like really poorly recorded because there's no better recording available, and I'm just like, oh man, I don't want to hear that on my higher end sets because it kind of ruins it, because you hear like the flaws in the recording. But on this you don't hear that flaw, so it's an interesting thing. If you have a lot of poorly recorded music, this may be a really good option. Overall, can I recommend this set? To some people. I don't think this is like a bad set, because I actually really like the sound. It's actually going to be quite high on the tier list because I really like how these sound. They sound very energetic, fun, the tuning is nice, quality of the bass is very impressive, quality of the mid-range is very good. Not as good as these, but these are like up on the top of my list. I love these sets. And so all of these are very high on my list. So like, I know I sound a little bit harsh and critical on these sets, and that's because I'm comparing it with like my favorite sets of all time. So keep that in mind. When I sound like very negative, I'm not. I actually quite like this set. I really like the mid-range. I really like the bass. The treble is also fine. It's not like impressive, like very impressive for this $900 price tag, but it's solid. It's not like something that I'm like, this is horrible. No, I'm not even close. I'm not even just okay. It's good quality treble, but it's not as good as the quality of the treble on these. So the detail is solid. The tuning is great. Bass is great. Overall, can I recommend these? Some people yes, some people no. Take the pros and the cons and see whether or not this is for you. Overall, I think it's a good set. I think it's definitely has its place. It has its audience. Yeah, that's about it. See ya.